Hello and welcome to Krackpots We Met Downstairs, brought to you by Krackpots Comedy Club in Massillon, Ohio, with special thanks to Funny Noises Productions in Massillon, Ohio, and shout out to Dendamo's Unique Chocolates, which can be found at Krackpots Comedy Club in Massillon, Ohio. I am your host, Rebecca Mercoulin, and we've got Micheal Cheselka back. But yeah! Heck yeah, Michael, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to be back, and the year is only 9 days old, and it feels like we've already suffered through 6 months of bullshit.
I know.
Which is fine as a comic, but my God. I'm telling you.
Because this is pre-recorded. We'll see how we feel like once this episode goes live. We'll see. Maybe you'll feel differently.
This
Maybe it'll be better.
Why nobody says Happy New Year after January 3rd. Because by the 4th, everybody looks at each other and goes, who's getting who? It's the same old shit.
We're done. We've had enough, actually.
There's no changes. There's nothing, you know. And again, for all of you people that aren't spiritual, and we'll get into that a little deeper.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. But for those of you that aren't basically any kind of relationship, any kind of perspective on your place in the hierarchy of stuff and things in the universe, and therefore don't on a regular basis pray, but you find yourself at some point in your life where you're confronted with something, or you're dealing with something, or a friend of yours going through something, and you reach that point where you think to yourself, all right, I've tried everything else. I'll say a prayer. If you're not familiar with how, all I can say is do not put your hands together, kneel down, look up and say, oh my God, how much worse can things possibly get? Because that's his favorite prayer to answer.
Shit.
He will answer that in 10 minutes. You'll know just how worse things can possibly get. And the only way I can explain the first week of this year so far is there must have been a whole hell of a lot of people doing that. Because we're being shown just how much worse things can possibly get.
It's the old Milo Murphy's Law is a Disney Channel TV show, which is a play on Murphy's Law. But anyway, I think a lot of people had a rough year in 2025, and whether it was the whole year or just like the second half of the year or whatever parts, I think a lot of people are.
Well, I don't know how bad things are for everybody in this country on January 9th, but I don't think anybody in this country is as nervous as the people in Greenland. So anyway, Happy New Year. Did you have good holidays?
It was good. It was at home.
I'll tell you, and then we can move on and get to stuff. As far as just saying goodbye to the holidays, the older I get, my favorite holiday becomes Thanksgiving.
Interesting.
Because you can't mess it up. It's just people and food. You can't drag it out forever. It's one day. You don't start celebrating it 3 months in advance. I mean, there was a time this year, anywhere in America, if you walked into Sam's Club or Costco or Walmart, it was Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Valentine's Day, all the same. Building the same stuff in different aisles, had different candy in different colored bags commensurate with the holiday. But it's just like, and now they're finally all gone, so we're saved for a while.
That's interesting. Thanksgiving, as you
know, it's just food and people.
The main opinion that I've heard of Thanksgiving is it was fun when you were a kid, but as you get older, people move away and people pass away, and it's just not.
It's not that at all. Nobody knows how to cook or wants to bother to cook anymore. Really. You know, I didn't see huge boxes of Factor or all those subscription just send me food in a box that I can microwave. I didn't see tons of those on people's porches in my neighborhood. By the same token, nobody wants to put 3 days into cooking, 5 days into baking, if not more, all to have everybody in the family sit around the table and in 30 minutes destroy everything and then get up and go watch football.
Or take a nap.
Or both.
Just take a nap.
Sit down intending to watch football and just fall asleep.
But that's an interesting point that you made. You said it's just a one-day holiday, but it sounds like if you're hosting, it's not a one-day holiday. It's at least a week.
Well...
So that's kind of...
Yeah, prep, but you know. All right, but that's commensurate with taking time to, take a shower before you have sex. You got to prep no matter what you do if you want to do it right.
to me, it's interesting that you're qualifying it, because you said earlier about, like, if you're prepping for a week for Thanksgiving, what is it any different than candies in the store? Where is the line there? And now I understand that Christmas has been coming sooner and sooner, and that can get frustrating for a lot of people. But it's just, is that not a similar framework?
No, the other stuff for all those months, candy on a shelf and stuff everywhere you look and every time you turn on the radio, that's not prep. If you're baking, if you're cooking, you are making something. It's not all that other outside, the difference, just buy this.
So the bigger difference is the individualism of it.
Right.
Right, okay.
That's what I meant about it's just people and food.
Okay.
Because even the cooking and the baking is people and food. And most of the time, the people and the food are doing things to prep stuff to feed people food.
Okay, I think I get it now. So it's more like the scale of it.
I knew we were in trouble. I'm glad you brought this up. I didn't know we were going to go here.
I didn't
where we're going. But one last thing. It must have been, my gosh, I'm going to say maybe 15 years ago. I was married at the time, took wife and mother-in-law to Charleston for Thanksgiving. Charleston's an amazing food town, one of the best in the country. Got in and decided we could do that trip, and I just decided, let's go there. And the only reservations we could get were at a really, really nice restaurant, but we had to eat at noon. We had to go to brunch because everything, every dinner, every late night dinner, everywhere was booked. So we ate at noon, and we ate like everybody eats no matter what time you sit down to eat on Thanksgiving, the buffet, what we ate. All right, the women decided, well, we're just going to go take a nap. And I wanted to just walk it off because the other nice thing about Charleston, besides the food, is it's a great walking city. So I decided to go for a walk. And I walked through the whole town, the park, especially the part that's got all the restaurants. And a lot of the restaurants have windows from ceiling to sidewalk, and they're just huge, and you could look in, and I saw people sitting, tables, all kinds of different restaurants, all kinds of different stuff, parties of 2, parties of 12, all kinds of groups of people. But for the first time in my life, I sat there and got sad because everybody in those restaurants was looking at their phone. And I don't know how much of a part of being with people in general you notice or react to, but we can't do anything with that. I'm sure, never mind, I won't go that far.
You don't want to talk about it.
I was going to say, I'm sure if I walked into the bathrooms, people are in there on their phone too, but I can't comment on that because I do it. Anyway. All right, so tell everybody why we're really here.
So a little bit of backstory if you haven't seen Michael's previous episode. So he was here before, and we ended that first episode on a bit of a cliffhanger, and today we will have the conclusion. So Michael had mentioned that he had recorded a show about Gen Zers who are choosing to go to exorcists as opposed to attending therapy, and I thought that was very, very strange, and I wanted him to elaborate on it, but the show hadn't come out yet, and also we were out of time for the episode. So I'm gonna let Michael talk about it. He's gonna give us the rundown and his thoughts. I'm very interested to hear what he has to say.
So was I. I bookmarked that. I put it on my calendar. I have a notebook next to the chair I sit in the living room when I watch the little bit of TV that I watch so that I can take notes and all that stuff. And then the show was on CNN, and what CNN has a tendency to do, and I guess everybody does, but the saturation of commercials. I watch this, tease this, 9 o'clock Sunday, 9 o'clock, over and over and over and over and over. And what I was curious about and wanted to know about the most is why all of a sudden this became a generational thing. And the way they made it sound, it was almost like, why did everybody in America wake up one year and decide, oh my God, I need a tattoo? But then everywhere you look, people that you'd never expect, you'll wipe your eye and notice their ankle, and it's like, oh my God, well, when did you get that? So deciding, especially with, these are all my thoughts ahead of time, church going in America declining. So less people going to church and all of a sudden deciding to delve into the deepest, darkest secrets of supposed spirituality and organized religion, et cetera, et cetera. So I waited, and I actually, you're going to think I'm kidding, but I'm not. I'm not a big sweets fan. I don't eat a lot of candy. If I want a snack or if I'm just eating bad junk, chances are it's salt. Peanuts, pretzels, chips. And one of my favorite things to do is get a bowl and put potato chips, pretzels, and Fritos in the same bowl. So I made myself a bowl of that, and I got myself a beer. And at 10 minutes to 9, I sat down and watched the coming up right after this and so on and so forth, made sure, and sat back to watch the show. And I'll explain how and why in a minute, but within first couple, it was like all of the backstory, all of even talking to you about it. You saw how excited I was when we talked. The show started and it was like, oh my God. Have you ever really wanted, like when you were a little girl and you'd see the biggest box under the Christmas tree and it had your name on it?
Yeah.
You would just like your heart started
Yeah,
pounding.
yeah.
It was a hairbrush. It was that kind of thing.
Oh, no.
Let me explain. They decided they had to do a whole backstory. And I thought, okay, this is cool because they went straight to and to explain how exorcism through the ages and so on and so forth. And as far as the books and the history and culture, tradition, stuff like that. Catholic Church through the ages, and there was a priest that they decided to talk to first to set the background, set the story. And the first thing he said was, well, we can't talk an awful lot about it because it's not like they were going to show you video of people throwing up and the head spinning or levitating or screaming or talking in, tongues from another. But he literally said, and they asked him questions like, well, how many of these do you do a year? And he said, between 8 and 20. And how many priests do it? And it's like, they do it all over the world. So I'm starting to do the math and thinking to myself that, wow, this has been a heck of a lot more prevalent than is covered in the news. You don't pick up the paper or read, or the 5 o'clock lead with, well, another exorcism in Parma. So it's like, okay. And they did talk a little bit about follow-up or going back, any of that kind of stuff. And then it got into how, aside from it becoming something that you train for, something that you're educated for, something that you just devote and study and understand and absorb all the knowledge you can, et cetera, it went to the fact that nowadays there's a handful of people that have decided it's a quick way to make a buck. They're doing exorcisms in the banquet room at Holiday Inns. They're advertising just show up and, et cetera. And so my point is, if Gen Z is the moth, the people that are just providing, hey, guess what? Is the light on your porch that they circle around. And they didn't do what I wanted to hear, which was interviews with what made you decide to take a different route. All of a sudden, did you turn over a spiritual leaf? So this is still an experience between heaven and hell, which you can't have a heaven or a hell. There isn't anything about being atheist that says anybody's going to hell. There isn't anything in atheism that says anybody's going to heaven. That doesn't exist. So therefore then, if you've never had a relationship with God, how do you just... Excuse me, God, could you please remove Satan from my soul? And I wanted to see results, struggles, contemplations, and also wanted to see manifestation. Was the temptation something that, you lost and fell into? Was it something that you woke up with? Is it something different? And I'll tell you, my interest, and I don't know if we talked about this earlier, but my interest in this was I flirted with the idea of becoming a priest until I was 23. And one of the things about that were all my questions about when I was a kid. First or second grade, I was asking the nuns questions like, if Jesus could walk on the water, was it hard for Mary to give him a bath?
Yeah, you mentioned that in the last episode. Yeah.
But I, literally, it's like, all right, if he could walk on the water, I just pictured myself standing up in the tub and my mother probably coming in and passing out. Because, And then the other thing was, for a man / God, but a real man that walked around the planet for only 3 years in as far as public life, every time he walked into a little village, every time he went to a new thing, every time they showed up, everybody ran out to him and said, Jesus, could you please come see my daughter? Could you please, like, go see my husband? Could you please? And all they wanted him to do was cast out demons. Well, you know a question I still have to this day? Where'd they all go? They're still here. Well, they're still here. And now my question is, what made them all run out and get red hats?
Oh, that's a great question. Michael, you have such great questions and insights.
I'm just
it's awesome.
saying. Because I will tell you this, I watched Stephen Miller on TV. There's no soul there. There are plenty of minions in the cabinet. Project 2025 is the new Satanic Bible.
You think so?
I know so.
Yeah.
When was the last time anybody from the Proud Boys made an appearance or showed up anywhere?
I
They're
don't know.
perfectly content and happy. And based on the 8 days that we've had, now I know we're way past, but this is only because I didn't get any answers at that special. I'm really disappointed in that special. And I thought to myself, wow, did you do this on purpose? Was it like, ooh, we could talk about this and then have nothing to say about it? The only thing I didn't like is one of the people that all of a sudden is like, oh, I woke up one day and decided I'm an exorcist, was that they had a room where people showed up and this and that thing. And then one of the special rooms was for kids. Okay.
Kids as like
Children.
children
Let's
to
put
be
it-
to be
young.
exercised?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, so what do you mean? I'm not saying any and all of that stuff isn't possible. I'm not saying any and all of that stuff doesn't exist. But it's just not run-of-the-mill BS.
Yeah, it's not common enough to warrant the amount of money that people are making doing it. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I will tell you this. Doesn't look like anybody's doing any good with what they're doing either, because there's not any less. You know, we're not a kinder, gentler nation. Shining light on the hill turned out to be red, and it's a whorehouse.
Oh, gee. Oh, my God. The imagery, Michael. The imagery.
We're on radio. We got to do something.
That is true. The audience cannot see me nodding along to you as you're talking.
But I can't help it. That's just the way I think. And to some degree, I used to have this conversation with Sam Kinison all the time. Sam and I bonded, got to be friends from the very first night we spent time and talked to each other, because Sam used to be a Pentecostal preacher. Everybody knows that. Sam didn't know that I wondered if I had a calling and a vocation. But we talked about the one thing when I brought this up, and I'm going to tell you what it is right now. Sam looked at me and goes, oh. Because to have this question and want to talk to him about it was like, okay, this guy knows a little bit, and so on and so forth. And we ended up talking about it all night. But Sam and I sat, just the two of us, at his kitchen table and discussed Gethsemane. Brings three of his best apostles, please come be with me. And they all fall asleep. And he wakes them up, they fall asleep.
Right,
Wake them up, they fall asleep. So now he's by himself. He doesn't have anybody that he can count on and support. Human side of him asks, why? And he literally says, if you can make this cup pass, I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. So what was the reason for the moment of doubt? Because from the beginning of his public life, he always knew how and when and why and where he was to do what he was to do. But maybe just as an example of the fact that he was fully human, and God, that the human side said, wait a minute. But we talked about that. And so my point is, at least for me, there's plenty of comics walking around. It's just like, okay, stuff and things about cute and stuff and things about sick and twisted and stuff. And then the young comics starting out to think, okay, I'm going to write a new and original dick joke. And there aren't any, but is what it is. I try to find stuff that I hope is a double-edged sword. One of it is the stuff that is weird and, hey, look at what I think. But the other one is maybe taking one of those great big blowers that you get the leaves off your lawn and clearing away all the BS and spending a little bit of time with the stuff that my audience thinks about when nobody's around. That's where I like to play. You know, I want to get in your sandbox and dig a little. So I turned the show off with more questions than I had when I started. And I'm sure you've been to movies that you really were excited about.
Yeah.
That one. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really? I hope there's no Barbie 2.
You didn't like Barbie?
I didn't see it. I was just using that as an example.
I was gonna say.
I will tell you this. It's pretty sad when the best part of the Superman movie was the dog.
Crypto!
Yeah.
I love Crypto.
I did too. But
He's
then it was
perfect.
like, you know.
Crypto is perfect. The best part of any movie is the dog. That's just how.
Yeah,
that's just how dogs are.
I know it's a little bit off topic. I didn't know I was going to bring up movies. But let me ask you, what was the best movie you saw last year?
That's a good question. I don't know. I liked Superman a lot,
okay.
But I don't know enough about Superman, or like I have a very surface level understanding of Superman. Are we talking about movies that came out in 2025 or just any movie that I saw in 2025?
I'll let you expand the question.
Honestly, probably it wasn't made in 2025, but I watched it in 25. Weird, the Al Yankovic story. He made a mockumentary of his life. Oh my god. It was so funny. Okay. Oh, it was so good. That's the first thing that came up to my mind right after Superman. So those are the two. I also saw, some of the stuff that I saw in theaters, they were like Spirited Away. They were doing like the Ghibli nights at the theater, and they'll like run different movies. We saw, White Christmas was last year, was it this year? When did I see White Christmas? We saw White Christmas in theaters at one point, and then we also watched The Sound of Music for the 60th anniversary. We went to
Had you seen it before?
Yeah, I've seen it before.
How about White Christmas? Had you seen it?
Yeah, White Christmas was always on our house because it was on the, what is it called? The old movies channel, the classic movies.
Yeah.
It would be White Christmas.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. There's one more that I'm not remembering right now, but there's one more of them. But yeah, White Christmas was one of the movies that was on a loop. It was one of my grandfather's favorites too, and it had my grandma's favorite actress in it. So we're gonna go see White Christmas.
You can probably guess my favorite Christmas movie.
Favorite, I don't know. The Grinch? Grinch?
No, you're cold. You're just so cold. Bad Santa.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one.
Oh, you have to.
Okay.
That is such a great morality tale. It's just, it's deep. Okay, the best movie I saw last year may also be one of the best movies I've ever seen. I saw Guillermo Torres's Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, I've heard very good things about that. I haven't seen it yet.
Holy cow.
It looks so, yeah, I've heard very, very good things about that one.
Oh my God, it was just like every scene was like turning the page of an amazing picture book that was well written and deep. It was good. And I liked it because it was a movie, they don't make movies anymore, they make video games. Of course, you wouldn't expect a car chase in a Frankenstein movie, but I'm not talking about car chases. I'm talking about everything being it took time little by little, it was a puzzle. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, yeah, that was good. I bought just a little study course because I got out of my chair that night, I watched Exorcisms.
Right.
And made a note to research and see if I could find a couple. I don't need another 1,000 pages. I don't need another course, but I wanted something that was contemporary, and I'm looking for, and it's on my books for this year, to revisit Revelations, et cetera, and study a little bit more on my own, because I ain't getting satisfaction out of trying to watch so we'll see. And if anybody's out there and just thinking, okay, I'm stressed, maybe I'm just actually, don't take that shit lightly.
Yeah, don't just go to the first person you see.
It's not something you just do for fun, and it's not something you can do like 16 times because you're bored.
Was there interviews of somebody admitting that they exercised someone 16 times?
No, that was to the people listening. That was for people out there that's like,
that was just some advice.
Maybe I'll try it. I hope that, we haven't pushed any of those buttons.
Yeah.
But I'm a little... Maybe this is why the stuff that I went off on tangents on popped out of the head, but you can congeal this way. I'm a little bit concerned that, I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but we are certainly a series of crossroads that I think that may substantially change life itself as we know it. There's 1,000,001 of those topics. I mean, you've heard me do the stuff about men are going to become obsolete when women discover humanoid robots.
I don't know if I've heard that. I don't know if I saw that bit.
All right, do we have time?
Yeah, we can do it. There'll be the last thing and then we'll wrap it up.
All right, picture this. They are building robots. If you go to sex_robot.com, the factories that are producing these things for $8,000 to $20,000 that look more real than real people, and they're flawless and they're gorgeous and handsome. And there's a whole study, and you can Google people that are shy, people that all their social skills never develop because they've been on their cell phone all day. They're having relationships with these, and they're being intimate with these, and the dolls are fully functional. Okay? They're building these, and they're saying that robots are going to take everything over because of two things: elder care and decline in population. Now, elder care I can understand, because my feeling is when you're 90 years old, every one of those tattoos is going to run together. Nobody's going to want to touch you except a robot.
Oh.
But then the declining birth rate, all these AI things are self-taught and keep getting smarter and smarter on their own. We're going to lose track of them. How long is it going to take for them to realize that all they have to do to solve the declining birth rate is to break into the IVF facilities, steal all that little magic potion, and chase all the women in America around? And at first, your woman is going to stay faithful and tell you, no, don't worry about me. But when she realizes that the robot doesn't have to breathe and can go for hours on end and give her the most amazing climaxes she's ever known, and then when he's done satisfying her in ways she's never even imagined, he jumps out of bed, fully extends himself, and starts vacuuming the rug.
Oh, God. Oh, God, Michael.
It's
Ew,
over.
Michael,
It's
ew.
over because
You have to clean it first.
there isn't any woman that, if she finds a man that will satisfy her like that and then instantly start doing chores without being asked, we're history. Men will be extinct.
Well, why don't the men just do that to begin with?
I don't know.
That's
They've had since the dawn of time.
That is a prison of your own making, Michael. That is
I'm
my
not in
opinion.
that prison.
No, but I'm saying, okay, let me regroup for a second.
Okay.
You said doing the deed and then doing chores right afterwards. Awesome. But if you hear that, and I know you're not in this group of people, if that is the hypothesis, right? We're going with that, like that is the most likely hypothesis, y'all can just start doing chores.
Yeah, but
Y'all
nobody's
can just
doing that. Why do we have so many real housewives of every city in America if guys are doing that?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you guys can do that though. Like you guys can start doing it. Now, if you don't want to, take that initiative, and if you're not willing to do that, then what do you think is going to happen? You know what I mean?
Completely understand.
That's
that,
where
that's why the world's so fucking.
Do you get what I'm saying? You
I
understand
do.
what I'm saying? Yeah, like there's probably more that I want to say, but we got to wrap up this episode. Anyway, Michael, do your plugs.
I'd like to ask you to tell all your friends to visit Rebecca's podcast over and over and over, because she's a wonderful addition to Krackpots family. I look forward to the fact that she wants to talk to everybody that is anybody here that comes into Krackpots, and I want to thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, Michael, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I'm going to shake your hand if that's okay. You can't see it because it's just audio, but we're shaking hands. Yeah.
And
awesome.
Now that we did that, I'm going to go wash your car windows.
Honestly, with the amount of salt that would be, with the amount of salt that's been happening, because it's been warm the last couple of days, so then the salt from the last snow days have been like melting, but then like spraying everywhere.
All right, let me ask you a question real quick.
What's up?
Since that episode and what we were looking forward to never materialized the way either one of us wanted to, and I told you what I want to do this year is revisit, piece some of that stuff together. When I get the real answers that I was expecting to find from everywhere else, and I have something to talk about, can we revisit and talk about this subject again?
Absolutely, Michael.
Cool.
We can totally do that. You just let me know when, and we'll schedule it out for you.
Cool. And I don't know if I've said this to you yet, but Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too. All right, guys, that about wraps up this episode of Krackpots We Met Downstairs, and New Year's will be long gone once this video is posted. But don't let that stop you from coming to Krackpots and seeing a live show, okay? Check out our schedule at krackpotscomedy.com. See what strikes your fancy. If you come for a Friday or Saturday show, tell them Rebecca sent you, and you will get $5 off your check. And while you are here at Krackpots Comedy Club in Massillon, Ohio, you can check out Dendamo's unique chocolates. She's got her own kiosk, like right in front of the the club. You'll find it. You'll know where it's at. And you can also order Pigs in Mud, which is a specialty item from Dindamo's Unique Chocolates, sold only here at Krackpots. It's a little brownie shaped like a piggy that's coated in chocolate and then covered in chocolate syrup. It's so good, you should order it because you can only get it here. We are also filming this episode in an old radio station. We have one room that's dedicated to the podcast, but we have a couple of other rooms that aren't being used right now. So if maybe you have a podcast that you want to record, or you have like a short film that you need a location for, you can reach out to Funny Noises Productions at fnpbookings@gmail.com and get more information on that side of things. That's it. That's the outro. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye!